You've grown in places no one saw. In Stoic Men Tribe, today we're tapping into a powerful truth, a moment of inner strength, sharp clarity, and timeless wisdom. Don't skip any part of this video, share your thoughts in the comment. Please do us a favor by hitting the subscribe button, like, and turn on notifications. So you never miss an update. Let's break it down, not beneath a spotlight, not on a stage, not in the curated stories or filtered images, but in the stillness no one speaks about. In the long, sleepless nights where your only companion was your racing thoughts. In the quiet corners of your life where pain whispered louder than any praise. In those sacred, hidden battles where you chose healing over hiding, progress over performance, grace over rage. You grew not in public spectacle, but in private surrender. You grew not because the world cheered you on, but because your soul refused to give up. Growth came when the invitations stopped coming, when the texts went unanswered, when you realized that no one was coming to save you, and so you became your own rescue. It came when the heartbreaks shattered your illusions, not just about others, but about yourself, and you stood barefoot in the wreckage, hands shaking, eyes burning, and still you rebuilt, brick by brick, boundary by boundary, truth by truth. No one saw how many times you wanted to go back to the familiar, back to comfort, back to who you used to be before life demanded your transformation. But you didn't. You stayed. You stayed in the fire long enough to forge something unbreakable. You learned that real evolution isn't glamorous. It's not about external change. It's about internal recalibration. It's about unlearning the noise and returning to your essence. It's about waking up and deciding that you will no longer abandon yourself to be accepted by others. It's about realizing that peace is not found in being liked. It's found in being aligned. Aligned with your values. Aligned with your truth. Aligned with the life your soul was born to create. There were no witnesses, no standing ovation, no likes or comments. But there was growth, true growth, the kind that makes you quieter, not louder, softer, not weaker, wiser, not colder, the kind that humbles your ego, sharpens your discernment, and deepens your presence, the kind that teaches you to stop asking, "Why me?" and instead asks, "What is life trying to show me through this?" You've grown in ways that cannot be undone, in ways the world will never fully understand, and that's okay. This growth wasn't for them. It was for you, for your future, for the life you're meant to build. Slowly, silently, intentionally. And when people wonder how you became so grounded, so calm, so sure, you won't need to explain. Your energy will speak for you, because the roots that grew in darkness are the ones that hold you when life gets loud. As the philosopher Seneca once said, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. And now you are not just surviving, you're standing, steady, sacred, seen by yourself. And that is more than enough. You didn't grow in the places people celebrate. You didn't bloom under bright lights or with a cheering crowd. You weren't applauded, posted, or praised, but still, you grew. And not just a little. You evolved in a way that can't be measured by milestones or metrics. You grew in the silence of your room, when the weight of your thoughts felt heavier than your body. You grew in the ache of betrayal, when you had to stitch your heart back together with your own trembling hands. You grew in the stretch between who you were and who you were becoming, when the path ahead was foggy and the past was burning behind you. And in that quiet crucible, that sacred space where no one was watching, you found something unshakable. You found a version of yourself that no one clapped for, but one you knew you had to become. You found self-respect. You found discipline. You found the strength to stop asking for permission, to heal, to grow, to leave, to rise. No filter can capture that kind of transformation. No caption can explain the nights you questioned your worth, not because you were weak, but because you were waking up to how much you had settled for. No highlight reel shows the slow, brutal, magnificent work of self-reconstruction. of unlearning your people-pleasing, your guilt, your fear of being misunderstood. And so this growth, this raw, beautiful, unglamorous transformation is yours, wholly yours. It didn't come in a viral moment. It came in thousands of unseen choices. The decision to speak kindly to yourself when your inner critic was loud. The decision to walk away from what looked good but felt wrong. The decision to stay committed to progress even when comfort called your name. You've grown in ways that don't fit neatly into a square frame. And that's the most powerful kind of growth there is. The kind that happens in the shadows but changes everything about how you walk in the light. As the philosopher Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." And you chose to be, even when no one was watching, even when no one understood, even when it would have been easier to stay small, quiet, and the same. You grew, and that growth, it doesn't need an audience. It speaks for itself. You didn't declare your transformation with noise, because it didn't happen in the spotlight. It wasn't for performance. It was for peace. Your evolution was quiet. Not because it lacked power, but because it was sacred. Because some things are too holy to announce. Some growth is too personal for applause. You didn't need to be seen. You needed to survive. You needed to breathe. You needed to become. And you did. In silence, you unraveled. In stillness, you shed the layers. Old versions of yourself, built on pain, approval, and pretending. You let them go, one by one. Not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. You've grown in ways most people can't see, because they didn't walk with you through the darkness. They didn't sit with you in the nights that felt like war. They didn't feel the ache in your chest when your hope was hanging by a thread. They didn't witness the 1,000 times you had to rebuild your mind, your boundaries, your belief in yourself, piece by painful piece. Now they see the strength, but they don't see what it cost. They see the calm in your eyes, but not the storms you had to endure just to breathe without breaking. They admire your confidence, but they don't know it was born from being abandoned, rejected, overlooked, and still choosing not to collapse. They feel your energy now, but they weren't there when it was shattered. When you had to sit in rooms full of people and still feel like you had no one. When you had to smile through betrayal. When you had to show up to life with a broken heart and a steady hand. You became who you are in silence, not because no one cared, but because no one could do the becoming for you. It had to be you. It had to be real. And now, you carry something that cannot be faked. A strength not taught but earned. A presence not borrowed but built. You don't need to explain your growth. You don't owe anyone your backstory, because those who truly see you will feel the weight of your journey in your stillness. They'll hear the fire in your voice when you speak. They'll sense the depth in your presence. And they'll know, you didn't just change, you evolved. You healed, you transcended, and you didn't need an audience. Because the transformation wasn't for them, it was for you. And that's why it's real. That's why it's permanent. That's why it's powerful. You didn't announce your evolution, you became it. And that was more than enough. The truly strong do not move through life to be seen. They move with intention, with quiet fire, with an unwavering inner compass that points to purpose over popularity. They are not fueled by ego or applause. They do not build themselves by tearing others down. They ascend by discipline, by commitment, by becoming so focused, so elevated, so relentlessly true to their path, that mediocrity suffocates in their presence. As Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. You want to become strong? Stop craving comfort. Stop seeking constant validation. Stop diluting your vision so others can feel safe in your presence. True strength begins the moment you stop trying to be understood by everyone and start striving to understand yourself. It begins when you stop chasing likes and start chasing your potential. It begins when you learn to walk alone and love it. Because strength is born in silence. In early mornings when your eyes burn, but you show up anyway. In the quiet hours when your old self whispers, "Give up," and you whisper back, "Not today." It's in the book you read when your mind wants entertainment. It's in the workout you complete when your body wants comfort. It's in the decision you make to stay focused when every distraction screams your name. And if you don't train your mind, the world will. And the world is not designed to make you strong. The world profits off your weakness. It markets chaos to keep you reactive. It promotes distractions to keep you shallow. It rewards emotional outbursts and punishes stillness. But the dangerously strong? They are immune to this noise because they have built something unshakable inside. Not through luck, not through inheritance, but through the slow, brutal, beautiful work of becoming. They say no to what their old self would have worshipped. They say yes to what their future self will thank them for. So rise above the noise. Refuse to be tamed by convenience. Let your solitude be your training ground. Let your silence be your sharpening stone. And let your life be the philosophy you don't just speak, but live. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius. Dangerously strong people don't explain who they are. They show it. Every damn day. Even when no one's watching. Especially when no one's watching. This kind of growth. It doesn't come with applause. It doesn't trend. It doesn't feel glamorous. In fact, most days it feels like silence. It feels like doubt. It feels like no one sees the battles you're fighting beneath the surface. Because true transformation doesn't scream. It whispers. It begins in the quiet moments, the ones no one claps for. When you finally set a boundary you used to break. When you choose to pause instead of explode. When you sit with discomfort instead of escaping it. At first there's no reward. No one celebrates your decision to heal. No one throws a party because you chose to walk away from toxicity, to rewrite your patterns, to stand up for your worth. It's just you, alone, clearing the rubble of who you used to be, laying new stones in their place, brick by brick, belief by belief, value by value. But over time, it starts to show. Not in your resume, not in your selfies, but in your energy, in your stillness, in your choices. It shows in the way you no longer chase people who disrespect you. It shows in how you no longer explain your worth to those who benefit from misunderstanding you. It shows in the way you smile without fear, speak without trembling, and leave without hate. You're not bitter. You're boundaried. You're not cold. You're clear. You're not broken. You're reborn. And the people who used to rattle you, now they just echo behind you. They never had power over you, only access, and now they don't. This is the real reward. Peace that doesn't beg for company. Clarity that doesn't seek approval. Strength that doesn't need to be proven. As Seneca once wrote, "As is a tale, so is life." Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters. And a good life, it's not always visible, but it's deeply, quietly powerful. The kind of strength that can only come from rebuilding yourself in the dark, one brave decision at a time. This kind of growth isn't loud. It doesn't arrive with a spotlight or a standing ovation. It doesn't ask for validation, because it's not meant for them. It's meant for you. This growth is quiet, private, sacred. It's forged in the spaces no one sees. In the late nights where you wrestle with your thoughts. In the early mornings where you rise before the world. In the small, unglamorous choices that slowly reshape your life. You're not doing this for the masses. You're not chasing applause or approval. You're rebuilding yourself, not to impress, but to be free. To live a life crafted by intention, not reaction. To make peace with your past without being bound by it. To become the person your future demands, not your fears. One day, someone will notice. They'll sense it in your calm. They'll feel it in your presence. They'll say, something's changed. And they'll assume it was sudden. But you'll know the truth, that it was years in the making. Years of shedding who you weren't. Of setting boundaries you were once too afraid to draw. Of choosing discipline over distraction. stillness over noise, growth over comfort. Years of becoming. And in that moment you won't need to explain, because your presence will say everything your words don't need to. As Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Life is long enough, and a sufficiently generous amount has been given to us for the highest achievements, if it were all well invested." You are no longer wasting your time. You are investing it into the quiet, patient work of becoming who you were always meant to be. If this resonates with you, share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update.